Into the ropes and off. A flying tackle by Adam Rocknick.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Got to hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm the real heavyweight champion.
Gotta be the best of me. He's more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold championship. As we sit in a front row.
That canvas pretty hard. And look at Buddy going to work now. Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of TEW 2020, Billy Corgan's NWA. So, great show. We had an awesome one. That was hella good. Very sad though. I gotta admit, I'm still a little worked up on there. So, I think we have to go into our Hall of Fame, which was empty a minute ago. And I added some people, AJ Styles and Kahagas. How can we forget that he was the Shoney's NWA North American champion at one point? Ric Flair, Jeff Jarrett, Dusty Rhodes, and I think we gotta put our boy in. I mean, how can we not? We'll induct them. There you go, Tim. In the Hall of Fame. There we go. I like how it just was oddly empty, though. I had to add just a few people. AJ Styles probably doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but we'll go with it. So, what did we do? Well, one of the things that we just did right before this aired is I kind of made a decision. And what I decided upon is that it's been getting too difficult to do the stories that we've been trying to build. And I think we are in a good spot in terms of our talent roster, but I'm looking at these morale issues. I'm looking at some of the things that are building up that are potentially going to be problems. Did we not negotiate with him? Make offer. I thought we did. No, whatever. I think I just redid it. Oh well. I decided that I think it's time to upgrade Power. I think it's time to take it to a 2-hour show. If this goes horribly, we might bring it back to potentially like an hour and a half or something, but I'm just feeling like we're not getting enough time for the depth of our roster at this point. And we're making okay money. It's not like we're not making a lot of money, which we don't need to. But we're making enough that I feel like a few extra faces, a few extra story beats is not going to kill us when it comes to, running the show. So that's kind of the main crux of what we've done here. So we made it a 2-hour show. I mean, if you look at these, we're boosting up the ratings. We're at 59 last week, 57 a week before, 55. So we're trucking along here when it comes to our show quality. And I think we can afford to have a few extra matches, a few extra people on the show. That will come with some extra things and ones that I'm still debating over. And that's titles. So obviously what we have right now is we have the Money in the Bank style Founders Championship, which is not a real title right now. For some of you that have had discussions with me online, you know that I'm not a huge fan of titles. I kind of see them as a necessary evil. And mostly I feel like titles in wrestling that are not division titles tend to dilute the main title. Because ultimately what you should be fighting for is either something that represents you're the best in the division that you exist in, or a weight class, or you should fight for the biggest belt that there is. And the half steps to me don't really make sense. I mean, I know they exist in real life. I know boxing has that. I know UFC has that. But I feel like the same problem. It gets kind of diluted. Like a good example would be like the New Japan belts. You have the Intercontinental title, and the US title now, and obviously the IWGP. And the argument has always been like, is the Intercontinental title more important than the IWGP because it's the Intercontinental, and it always comes down to this idea of IWGP means you're the strongest wrestler, and Intercontinental means you're the best wrestler, or something weird like that. So I try to avoid that. So obviously we have like the Shoney's, the former Shoney's Championship, which is turning into something soon. But that's kind of a gimmick belt, right? So to me, that's fine. And we have our division belts. So I'm thinking about, do we want to add another division? Something to give people an opportunity to succeed that has a gimmick? So do we want to introduce something like a Young Lions belt, right? Something that would be a mid-card belt or even a lower card belt that maybe winning that instantly gives you like a shot, or something like that. Something that feels like a proper stepping stone and doesn't dilute the main belt. It's something that you work towards it. I was also contemplating, as we're opening up to a 2-hour show, one of the criticisms I often hear, and one I agree with, is that we have a weak women's division. We have that both in talent, and we both have that in booking. Booking mostly comes from the problem of just, we don't have enough time, and that is being solved now. But the other issue is just that there's not enough to really fight for. Because obviously we have in the men's, we have tag team, and we have the heavyweight, right? And then technically we have this North American, and we have the Alliance title. And the Founders Championship. For women's belt, for women's division, you really just have the Women's Championship. So I'm contemplating potentially moving on. Oh man, we still have the old image of the women's belt. But I'm contemplating potentially, and that's the only one that exists. Okay. Maybe doing something where we have like a women's tag or even a women's trio. I don't think we have enough roster to support a women's trios belt, but I'm thinking of maybe introducing a tag belt now that we're moving to 2 hours. So, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on that is. I may introduce one of those in this episode. I'm not sure yet, but that's kind of my mindset going into this. And obviously we have Starrcade coming up, which is going to be kind of our sort of season finale, as we're kind of tying up some of our older storylines and building new ones going forward, right? So we have another show, another Power. So let's get on over to that. We got one in 9 days. Let us just fast forward and get to the show. Hopefully we get some of these other contract negotiations done. And I'm eagerly waiting to see if Tim Storm is leaving us forever, or if hopefully we can have him as some kind of personality or manager. All right, we got pulled out here. We got our negotiations in for some of our tournament. Zicky Dice. What did you do? What? Hold on. Early reports are saying that Zicky Dice has been injured and sustained a damaged neck during a match last night. Apparently left the ring under his own power, however, is not expected to miss any dates. Early estimates are taking 2 days for him to fully heal. Where were you? Were you Zicky? Dude, I just gave you... Didn't I give you one of the Founders medallion? That Durger curse is popping up. Was that the Red Carpet Rumble, I'm guessing? Potentially causing the problems here. Carl Anderson put on a star performance at that show. Oh, Zicky Dice, you better... All right, let's check your medical here real quick. I'm going to be real pissed off if he's... 4 days. You're fine. You're fine. Austin Gunn, still hurt. Broke his junk. But, wow. I got scared there for a second. Not that I have huge plans for Zicky Dice, but he is part of the future that we're building. So I did not want to lose him for an extended period of time. Hung up his wrestling boots last night, calling it time on his active career. So I think that means we could still have him as a personality, because he has not left the business, which is great, because we definitely will keep him around as a pillar. So Tim Storm could be a color, personality, a road agent. I don't think I want you as a road agent or a referee. on-screen personality, a manager. Let's talk to him about being a manager. I would love for you. We can always ask him to come out for another run. How about that being a manager? I can do that. Perfect. So we can pull him in as a manager now. I want to get rid of that road agent because we know he was not great at that. So manager, personality, color commentary, all sounds great. And you know, I don't think we can convince him to be a occasional wrestler or something like that. No. So still have Tim here for story beats, things like that, managing people, and we could still use his popularity that he has, which is great. So very helpful for us, very useful. That makes me quite happy, actually. It doesn't sound like it right now, but it actually does really make me very happy. Actually tonight would be that episode of Power airing, so we have another 6 days to go. We had to configure the show around over the potential of Tim Storm leaving the business. So we had to make sure about that. So we still have some more time to sim ahead. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we lose some of our people that lost, which is fine. Power was shown 71,000 viewers, a 0.09, a little bit less than what we normally got. I think that's because we were maybe Dark kind of took some of our buzz a little bit, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. Oh, Danhausen, what do you want? Sure. I'll just give you the whole thing. That's fine. We have enough angry people right now. So there goes everybody that had lost. Not a big deal. We got our contracts for everybody else in, I believe. Perfect. So we are pretty much ready to just run a show. We do, again, have some morale issues that, you know, some are more substantial than others. Is Levi Shapiro still here? Is he still in the tournament? Did he just not? No. Weird. Very weird. It's an odd one. So maybe we'll have to look at really making sure we are clearing out that roster, because I don't. Huh. You have yet to have a season. Okay, no, yeah. So that's a little weird to me, but that's fine. Okay. Anyways, we got a show to run. It's gonna be a big one, 2-hour show. I'm hoping we're going to have to really play it by ear here and see how it looks financially. I'm not saying I'm going to throw everything we got at this show, but I'm not necessarily going to be playing conservatively on this show. Let's cram it with people if we need to. Let's see what the damage is, and see really what we're capable of financially, because that'll really determine where we can go forward. 2-hour show is a long time, but at the same time, it probably isn't as bad as it sounds when it comes to how many people are on the show. Unless we had 1-minute segments and everybody was on it, right? So let's kind of stress test our first 2-hour Power. Oh, that's good. We should have renamed it that. And we'll see how this goes. All right, guys, we are back filming on Monday night, just due to some complications with people not being able to appear on the show. Big one that's being a problem is Phoenix, especially, who apparently needs to be wrestling. It's like everywhere all the time. I think we get preference over CMLL, who apparently he's wrestling for as well. So hopefully that won't be a problem, but that is been an issue when it comes to the availability, unfortunately. So what do we got going on here? We do have some mail. Luke Gallows offered, I think, for BJW. Really? What's your offer here? It's not exclusive, right? Yeah, it's fine. Not a big deal at all. We don't even know if he's going to win the tournament, so, you know, that is what it is. Let's get rid of all of these Gons from the NWA. It looks like we finished second out of third in Southeast. I wonder who... No special bonuses or penalties. Let's check the company wars here. Southeast. Where do I have to go for that? Can't remember where that is now. Size, territory. Deliver track progress. I don't think that's the case. I'm guessing it's probably NXT. Probably took it first. Second out of third we'll take, but we certainly would have liked to have that big bonus going forward into it. Not a huge deal, but it is what it is. Where is that though? There's supposed to be there's definitely a button that shows the territory war. I could have sworn. Is it Game World? Broadcasters? No. I don't know. One of you guys know. I'm sure you know. And I'm probably just overlooking it completely. Not a big deal. But I will find out and we will look at those after you guys in the comments tell me exactly where I'm missing it. Alright, let us go forward with our show. Our first 2-hour power. And see what kind of damage we can do in 2 hours. Shockingly, no backstage incidents, which is kind of crazy. 2 absent workers, just Austin and Gunn. So that's good news because I think Phoenix was slated to work at CMLL. I believe how it works is whoever's the bigger or more important company gets his priority. So he has taken his time to show up here, potentially having a match, potentially not. But that is helpful for us because that definitely will determine how we utilize them. It's also one of the reasons why we're not filming on like Wednesday or even Tuesday because you have Impact and you have AEW. Even though we're airing on Tuesdays, filming it earlier is more beneficial for us, just in the sense of making sure that there's no conflicts with some of the workers that we have on our Handshake PPAs. Now, we gotta select our studio. Still says 448 fans. I think the last time we had 488. Yep, 488. So probably something pretty similar. Not too bad. It's not necessarily increasing, but you know, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So I'm fine as long as we're not dropping in attendees. We should be A-okay. So we got 120 minutes. We're allowed to run 5 minutes over, so we can have 125 minutes. And it must be between 115 and 125. So definitely a major difference in terms of how much is going to happen on this show. And like I said, we are going to try to not really cut any corners. So, you know, expect as many of the big names as we can get onto the show here, really just to ensure that that we can kind of, it's almost like a stress test. We're going to check for water and make sure running 2 hours is not going to be a horrendous mistake that'll hurt us financially. So let's get on with it. Let's watch our 2-hour power. All right, guys, we are back. We do have a booking analysis problem. One of our wrestlers was used far too much, apparently. I didn't think it really used her that much, but apparently we did. So expect a penalty there, but I'm not going to change the booking just for that. Let's get on with our first 2-hour power and see how this show goes. So we start the show off with Paul Pinky George coming out, very proud about being now in a 2-hour time slot for MAV TV, and he celebrates the wondrous night of the 2-hour power premiere and says that is a big night full of big events, and he hopes everyone will enjoy it. He says that it's important in times like this to understand the rules and who the rulers that make those rules are. He says he dislikes how in the past some wrestlers think they can bypass him and his decisions and make their own shots in the NWA. And says he hates the fact that some people think they can get to decide on their own if they can get on a major card or not. And so he announces that to celebrate and inaugurate the amazing new show, that there will be a title match tonight in the main event. And Brian Pillman Jr.'s title shot will be given to him, which he calls illegitimate. It will be honored tonight in the main event against Miro. But he warns that in the future, he won't be so kind, and that such unprofessionalism in the future will be punished. So, he was underwhelming, though overall, actually, the segment did pretty okay. Can't really complain about that. So we got a main event of Miro versus Pillman Jr. on a TV show, just giving it away. What is this? NXT? Crazy. So after that, we start off the show seeing Natty Nightheart, who had debuted last week, joining the commentary booth to talk about an upcoming match. Not much to say about it. It does fine. Said match is a 4-way exhibition between some of our women's division. It's a terrible match. Unfortunately, Skylar defeats Ashley Vox, Marty Bell, and Allison Kay in 5 minutes, giving her a win. She hasn't really had a win in a while, so I thought it would be a good opportunity. Ashley Vox was a future potential next-gen for us. It has kind of gone on the back burner. I think we'll do something with her in the future. But for now, Skylar, I wanted to move her momentum up a little bit. So we gave her a little bit of a win. Marty had a 25, Allison Kay had a 35, Skylar had a 30, Ashley Vox had a 33. We also, some of these, obviously we have the Thought Crime storyline on the back burner. It gets a little bit of heat because some of the people were involved in that in the past. And then obviously the commentary gave the match a boost, gave us a 32, and gives Skylar a win. Gives one of our few faces in the women's division a chance to kind of shine a little bit. That doesn't last long because Natty Nightheart, who uses her opportunity to disparage her, leaves the commentary booth, walks over, and just pummels her. She attacks her post-match and just beats her up in the ring, gets her into a sharpshooter. The refs come out trying to break it up. She won't break it up. And eventually Keira Hogan runs in and ends up attacking Natty Nightheart and actually busts her lip open a little bit. This pisses off Natty Nightheart a lot. But she retreats to the back while Keira Hogan kind of picks up Skylar and makes sure she's okay. Both are getting better at their gimmick. A new heart for the new NWA storyline starts with this segment as we kind of see that Natty is going to be a more vicious element here. Not the typical Natty that you would expect. She's much more aggressive, I suppose, than what you would expect from the WWE. And we get a 32 here. Not too bad, actually, overall. It is early on the card. We want to get a lot higher, but it's fine. I'm disappointed this segment was rated so poorly. But Danhausen, who doesn't work here, goes into Billy Corgan's office, brandishing the old Shoney's championship from the now retired Scott Steiner. Holy crap, guys. I just thought about that. Does that mean Danhausen actually retired Scott Steiner? Oh, fuck. That really hurts my head. Okay, well, I guess that's what happened. But he has the Shoney's championship. Obviously, he went to Shoney's a couple weeks ago and it was condemned, so it is no longer a Shoney's championship. He covered the faceplate haphazardly with duct tape, and the words, the Denny's Grand Slam, or Denny's Lumberjack Grand Slam Championship is written on it. Corgan immediately dismisses him, says, "I'm sorry, I'm busy," before Danhausen ignores him and sits down anyways. Corgan, big fan, much. Listen, Danhausen wants to provide good for his new employer. Corgan responds, you don't work here. Yes. Danhausen has got new sponsorship housing. Well, not yet, but Danhausen made a commercial. Danhausen pulls out a VHS tape from somewhere, and Corgan obviously looks immediately frustrated. And he tries to explain to him, you can't just make an ad without a license or a contract. It doesn't work that way. Before he can even really explain, Danhausen interrupts him and looks to the camera. It's too late. It's on the next commercial. Corgan, obviously quite upset by this revelation, just kind of gives out a what? Corgan should have had a script and was a mess, apparently, which hurt us here poorly. So we should have set that up a little bit better. But we have, of course, Danhausen's commercial. The commercial plays. Danhausen stands in front of a Denny's in the parking lot. The camera's slightly out of focus. Hello, is this on? Oh yes, good. Hello, I'm Danhausen, the official Denny's Lumberjack Grand Slam champion. And this is a Denny's. Danhausen loves Pancakeshausen so much that he's convinced lovely National Wrestling Alliance to sponsor Denny's. For every match that Danhausen wins for the next 24 hours after, all you can go to Denny's and get a free Lumberjack Slam on the Hausen. Yes, great deal for a great championship and great, lovely, wonderful people. Just when you eat inside, no swearing. No swearing is allowed in Pancake's place. Thank you. And of course, as the camera fades out, it says this message was approved by Denny's and the NWA. Corgan comes back on screen after the commercial break. His jaw just dropped pretty much to the floor, frozen in disbelief. And he just says, I'm done. Danhausen, I need to go make some calls. So Danhausen is now the Denny's Lumberjack Grand Slam champion. And may have caused a major legal suit in the process. Segment gets a 49. Pretty good. I'll take it. Afterwards, we got Contra Unit and Mark Sherman versus Mark Sherman in Mark Sherman. That would be a very different show. Contra Unit versus Mark Sherman and Big Sean Studd in a match surrounded by tables, presumably a tables match. Contra Unit defeats the two of them in 6 minutes. Mark Sherman, apparently it was an elimination match somehow. I don't know why. But Sean Studd gets just driven through a table. Obviously, they've been trying to kind of make a show of their ruthlessness after losing their title shot against the Von Erichs. This match is okay, especially considering it's with two jobbers for the most part. Got Fatu at 59, Machete at 35, Sean Studd at 33, and Sherman at 29. Got the crowd hotter. Performance of Fatu standing out is good. I'm starting to feel like eventually we're just going to need to make him go solo, because Machete's fine. Much better talker, much better, sidekick, obviously, which is kind of, I think, how they run him in MLW anyways. I don't really watch the product that much. But from what I've seen, it usually seems to be kind of the guy doing the promos. I don't know how much he's involved in the tag scene, but he's still putting in some work, so it's not that bad, but I feel like he definitely is the weak link of the two here. And another table is smashed, and gets a segment rating a 42. Not too bad. Afterwards, Contra Unit call out the Von Erichs, saying that this will be you, basically, just very upset with what had happened. Von Erichs come out, confront them, and Contra just sort of smirk, get up in their face, and then slink away, letting them be hot and bothered. Unfortunately, the segment doesn't do well. I think it was based on Von Erichs' overness and I thought we set it for Joey Machete's charisma, but we probably should have set it for entertainment instead. Probably would have solved this problem. I don't think we can get road agent notes on it or anything like that. This was a very short segment, like only like a minute or two, so I was shocked that we got this this penalty, but that's very unfortunate. Got a pretty sizable penalty here. Cooled the crowd a little too, which is not what we wanted, but hopefully they are still hot enough for the main event. But the main event is not yet. We have Natty Nightheart as an announcement. Well, not by her, but it is announced by the broadcast team that after their confrontation, Natty and Hogan will be fighting tonight, going head to head to kind of blow off that match, or blow off that heat that they have with each other here that had been built out earlier tonight. Segments 29, not doing great here. Is not quite what we want for ratings, but it is what it is. Let's keep on moving. All right, we got Pillman backstage now. A lot of segments, a lot of stories. I don't know how this is going to work out, but I gotta say, I really am digging how much time we get with this 2-hour show, because we really are moving the books in these storylines. Holy crap. All right, Pillman slams Pinky's door open so violently that a hanging degree falls off the opposite wall. This is bullshit, Pillman explains, getting up into Pinky's face, who delivers the same vitriol right back, just spinning right back into his face. He says, yeah, you're right, this is bullshit. Because you don't run this place, I run this place. And I say what happens and when. You need to learn to respect the owners of this company. You need to learn to have a little goddamn humility. And you need to respect the board of directors. Pillman just kind of cools down for a second, like, this, I'm not even 100% yet. I'm not even prepared for this yet. This is ridiculous. This is unfair. He goes, well, tough luck, Pillman. Go out there and give it your all. Pillman walks out frustrated, but before he leaves the doorway, Nick Aldis comes in to meet with Pinky George, and he's obviously smirking at the whole situation. And he goes, oh, hey, Brian. Really looking forward to your match tonight. I'm going to make sure to get a front row seat. We pulled the crowd back on board for tonight. We advanced the 10 pounds of gold story. We got Pillman very heated up, and the segment is a 39, not bad. Pillman, probably Pinky George is probably the weak link of the segment, unfortunately. But we advanced the story a little bit here. Good Brothers come in to help save the show, part of the second shot tournament. Good Brothers versus Rock and Roll Express. And what the hell happened here? Good Brothers defeated Rock and Roll Express. Luke Gallows pinned Robert Gibson. What a shame. I was really contemplating actually keeping the Rock and Roll Express around, but I don't know. I still don't know who's going to win this. I have an idea, but I don't know. It's probably going to be FTR, right? Let's be honest. It's probably going to be FTR. But the Rock and Roll Express were a short second, but I think it's time for them to depart the tournament. We could always keep them around, maybe, but I don't know. 54 and 54 for Gallows versus a 29 and 32, bringing us at a 48. Got the crowd hotter. Great match, and we have the Good Brothers moving on in the tournament. Another tag tournament, or another tag match is not as good, but we got Jarek 120 debuting, and Ziggy Dice versus the Classic Connection, who for some reason are still around. So we'll job them out a little bit. Extremely short match. Jarek and Ziggy Dice defeat the Classic Connection in 5 minutes. Jarek gets the win. Buddy Royal takes the pin. Got a 43, 35, and then 39s each for their in-ring performance. Jarek's actually not that bad. 35 is tolerable. We can work with that. For our undercard, it's not too bad. Unfortunately, his debut as Magician has got an initial rating as awful. That's kind of a bummer. And then obviously we advance the Smoking Aces storyline. It's gets a 32. It's not what we wanted to really get as we're getting up deeper into the card. I think we're now on the second hour of the show. That's a bit of a bummer. Ace Austin tries to bring it back here for us a little bit. Austin was ringside. I don't know why. I don't know if it said that, but he was, because I set him as a at ringside situation. He cuts a promo real quick, gives props to his boys, and he calls these two fellows the Smoking Aces. It says they're ready to, surprise the world and take over the NWA. So we got Austin and his two lackeys, 3 magicians running rampant in the NWA. Sounds like it's straight out of a 1993 wrestling show, but here we are for some reason. So for those that were complaining that I wasn't giving Zicky Dice something to do, here you go. I got one for you. Segment was a 38. It's not bad. And we got a women's match, Thunder Rosa versus Bianca Carella. This match underperformed. She was not great. Bianca here, very poor performance. Thunder Rosa had a 35, and they did not seem to click. I had a pretty awkward bout. It's unfortunate, but it's a terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Thunder Rosa defeats Bianca in 6 minutes by submission. At least this does a little bit better. But post-match, Thunder Rosa cuts a promo, kind of calling out Tessa and a lot of people in the locker room. And she says, a lot of wrestlers here are really privileged. They don't realize it. Maybe some of them do deep inside. But so many of them get to stand on the ramparts of towers that their parents built for them. My parents didn't build anything for me. My grandparents didn't build anything for them. And their grandparents didn't build anything for them either. I had to make my own path. I had to make my own tower. Right now, I only stand on bedrock and the stones of those that passed before me that never got to get here. The last fight wasn't a fair one, I know. And Tessa, I also know that you didn't work hard enough to actually beat me in that match. You don't have what it takes to actually go against me one-on-one. Tessa stands at the entrance, arms outstretched, kind of hearing what she has to say, and she starts mocking her, obviously, as a kind of come-to-me kind of situation. And Tessa begins to run over to Thunder, looking like she's about to slide into the ring and attack, kind of getting Thunder into a more fighting position, until she stops, basically right as she gets to the ring, makes a dismissive motion with her hand at her, and then walks off kind of laughing. As she's walking away, though, Thunder jumps her from behind and lays her out cold, holding the women's championship that Tessa had around her waist on top of her as she stands on top of her. So, building up a little bit of maybe a singles action here for them. Thunder, though, underperforming 35 makes me a little nervous. And we start the Lucha por la Muerte storyline. I'm hoping to kind of build Thunder up a little bit, give us some opportunity to maybe build our women's division a little bit stronger. As we lose one pillar with Tim Storm, in a lot of ways, Thunder will be our women's pillar. Not necessarily as champion, but I want to give her an opportunity to maybe develop a little bit stronger and become a sort of a stronger hand for our stable as we kind of pull other people in and try to build up a deeper, maybe richer women's division for the show. Gets us a 39 here. It's not bad. It's not great, though. Now, this is a great match. Holy hell. Can I hire both teams? Oh, boy. So, had superb wrestling and good heat. Lucha Brothers in our second shot tournament defeat the African American Wolves in 12 minutes. Penna and pinned Pentagon Jr. I'm not going to do Penta L0M. I refuse. Pentagon Jr. pinned ACH. The top rope Styles Clash. That's a weird way to finish that match, but sure. Phoenix was ahead above everybody else, though not by much. Pentagon was really up there. ACH was a weak link, struggling to keep up. And obviously the Lucha Brothers now move on in the tournament. They had gotten the bye originally, and that definitely made them fresher in this match. Definitely helped them. And we had a 70 for AR Fox, 47 for ACH, Pentagon for 72, and Phoenix at 81. Great chemistry, great tag team, and Phoenix stood out as being exceptionally good and gives us a 74. Might be enough to save this 2-hour power. Holy crap. Afterwards, and kind of a weird show of events, Josephus is seen just watching from the sidelines, strangely watching the Phoenix and Pentagon match. Phoenix looks very weirded out by it. Pentagon kind of taps Phoenix on the back, tells him to ignore it, and motions him to follow him backstage and avoid Josephus. Kind of a weird thing going on there, but Josephus, obviously the cult looking for new hires, potentially looking to dip their fingers into a lot of different things. Kind of an interesting element here. And we have the Natty Nightheart versus Keira Hogan match. Unfortunately, the crowd was too rowdy, so we got a penalty on here. But the match isn't bad. Natty defeats Keira in 15 minutes by pinfall after using some underhanded tactics. Kind of giving Keira a little bit of a save here. So it's a technical match, which we got hurt for just because of the rowdy crowd. We should have cooled them down a little bit before that. But they both have exceptionally high technical skills, so I thought maybe we can give that an opportunity. Didn't quite pan out here, but a 40 I'll take, and Natty gets a win. And for our main event, we have Brian Pillman Jr. versus Miro. Gets a 46, not too bad. Had good heat and decent wrestling. Brian Pillman actually drew with Miro after the match descended into chaos and basically had to be called off in a double DQ after Nick Aldis got involved, attacked Miro, attacked Pillman, making a whole show of the whole thing, kind of proving that if the boardroom, if Pinky, if the people, the powers that be, don't approve what's going on, you're not going to get your opportunity. And kind of using that to rub it in his face, Pillman loses his title shot, basically, through shenanigans. Obviously, Miro retains, but the whole match turns into just a big old, nasty, dusty, maybe not dusty finish, but a real nasty cluster. So we got a 39 for Pillman. Miro had a 64, and the match ended with a 46. I don't know where we're going to be here. I think we're going to end up being like a 48 for the show, but that 74, I don't know how much, I don't know. This is going to an interesting rating. I'm not sure where this is going to stack up. 50, I'll take it. Gets us a 32 across all regions. I think the Lucha Brothers saved us for the most part, because we had some missteps on that bottom of that show. But we had 501 people in the crowd. It was basically a packed show for our first 2-hour show. And I'm just curious to see what the financials are, but I think that was a pretty good success. All right, we got some reports coming in. Show was excellent, so at least we kind of won the favor of the crowd there. TLN was unhappy, and we lost their time slot for Canada. Well, they were the tougher get, but they also weren't our breadwinner. So that's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. I'm sure we can always find another broadcaster to pick up in Canada. I am curious to see what we're doing financially. Last month we made $38,000. That show definitely seemed expensive. And our broadcast revenue is not in yet, but we're only getting about $5,000 there. So what was the show's cost here? Hard to tell. Financial estimates. We'll have to play it out for a month to see, I think. That also was a pretty stacked show. But yeah, we might be losing money here. We'll have to see how it shakes out. It's hard to say. if we lost 29,000 on that show, maybe we had to cut it back to an hour and a half. But we'll keep running it and see where it comes in, because we haven't gotten our broadcast revenue yet. We also haven't gotten our sponsorships really in, which we're getting like 150,000. So we might be losing a little bit of money, but it might be worth it in the long run, just to kind of get everybody on the show and keep the momentum going. Well, that was it. That was a long episode. Thank you guys for enduring through all of this show. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time.